We are back for week 2. Browns Steelers coming off an incredible win against the Bengals this past weekend. I don't know if the end to that game could have gone any better, but lo and behold, Monday morning, we were gifted with this little video from local Pittsburgh news. Here, let's cue this up here.
The reason why we're out here and not in there is because we gave up on them, man, honestly. There was some hope. I mean, they played fairly decent, but I mean, still, man, the 49ers outclassed us.
They gave up on him,
man.
Drew. That is
just music to my ears.
Love it.
Oh, I love every second of it. Those lame fans, they give up and run the second that things get tough for their team, just like they do their baseball team. It is no different. The supposed best fan base in the world, Steelers Nation. The reports I heard from Pittsburgh radio, I love Pittsburgh radio, after a demoralizing, brutal, record-setting week 1 home opening loss. The reports were by the end of the game, there were about 15 to 20,000 people left there, and they were all 49ers fans. Their stadium got invaded. They got absolutely demoralized, and they're out there crying about how they gave up on them. It is music to my ears. I love every second of it.
I had to remind myself after watching this video that the Steelers were actually playing at home. I thought these were fans that made the big trip out to San Francisco. You know, maybe not their diehards that are there in Pittsburgh, but this was a home game, and they're quitting on them.
Right. It was a 49ers home game in the middle of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It was just wonderful. It was a wonderful sight. It was the CBS game of the week for the 1:00 feature, so the whole world got to see the last place Pittsburgh Steelers get absolutely mollywopped at home in front of what was at the end of the day nothing but 49ers fans in their stadium.
I think this guy said it best here on their upcoming worries.
Winning games, the play calling seemed like it's pretty the same old thing every series.
Well, the Browns coming up here against the Steelers. Steelers fans are worried. Eric, let's look at this matchup. Browns definitely had a slow start against the Bengals, but ended up pulling it out. Steelers did not look good. How are you looking at this upcoming matchup?
I'm pretty confidently. Just have a little bit of concern on the offensive line. Jedrick Wills had his hands full with Trey Henderson last week. Looked a little bit lost on some plays. And obviously the news coming earlier this week of Jack Conklin being out for the year, torn ACL, meaning DeJuan Jones will be possibly facing the unenviable task of going against TJ Watt, who, despite that lopsided loss, did have 3 sacks. So he is a good player on a bad team. At least that's what it looks like right now on the last place Steelers. Even without the services of Cameron Hayward, it's still going to be a challenge for this offensive line. Hopefully they don't need to chip or, use help on the edges, but I would like to see more of a centralized game plan between Posick, Teller, and Bitonio up the middle, maybe kind of focus a lot of the runs in the center. A lot of runs that Nick Chubb had last week was cutbacks on lanes that weren't initially there. So, hey, if he makes chicken salad out of what, then we'll take it. But I would at least, kind of focus on areas not against their strength. I have a lot of faith that Stefanski and Callahan will, devise a good game plan for them. So, I mean, if Watson can, not take those large sacks, he was only taken down 3 times last game, and they weren't too big a loss. But, whenever he gets way back there, it's 12, 13-yard loss. Those are drive killers. We cannot have them against this defense. But like I said, I think we're going to be in a good position to feature our strengths on offense. And I expect them, obviously the weather's not going to be as poor as it was on Sunday. I expect Watson to grip the ball a little better and not throw bounce passes once again. Well, I'll use that as the weather thing and not the 700-day layoff that he was doing last time. So, they still have a talented defense, but I think our offense is going to be clicking when it comes to Monday night.
Yeah, I think the announcer said it best during the Browns game. You've got $500 million in quarterbacks, and they were both on both sides. There was a lot of balls thrown a bit short. So hopefully the weather is looking a little bit better. Watching back the Steelers-Niners game reminded that the 49ers just have an incredible defense. So Browns, they're up there too.
The Steelers just flat out suck, man.
So I one position that I don't think Steelers fans should be comfortable in is Kenny Pickett. I didn't see anything impressive with Kenny Pickett. I think there was some positivity with him last year. I don't really see that. I don't see Kenny Pickett. He certainly isn't going to be Ben Roethlisberger. And we'll see what happens with that Steelers offense against the Browns defense if we can shut them out just as much. Drew, what do you think about the matchup of our, TJ Watt is formidable, usually gives us problems, but this seems like Deshaun could really show up here.
Yeah, I mean, TJ Watt gives everybody problems. TJ Watt is a deserved defensive MVP. He's a fantastic player, and I'm not going to take anything away from him. I'm not going to badmouth him. Steelers fans, I'm going to say something nice about him. I'm also going to say something nice about Cleveland Browns killer Cameron Hayward from The Ohio State University. And the fact that he's not there is a significant loss. He's the reason that they haven't just rotated the coverage, all of the offensive line coverage to the right side to just, double and triple team TJ Watt. At this point, without Cam Hayward, I think they can run to the left side to one of their strong sort of suits. And I think they can rotate the offensive line to at least try to slow down TJ Watt. I don't think that's going to be successful. TJ Watt is one of the best players in the league. I'm certain he's going to get at least one sack in the day. That's just who he is. He's unstoppable. But that is the extent of the positive things we're going to say now about the last place Pittsburgh Steelers. 4 is in the number of victories they're going to have all year, maybe. But you look at this team. They gave up 5 sacks. All you Steelers fans did was chirp about Omar the Great, Omar the Conqueror, GM of the Year, Omar Khan. And he fixed our offensive line. And did he? Because you just got absolutely wrecked in your first game, and now you're going up against Zadarius Smith, Shelby Harris, Dalvin Tomlinson, Obo Oronquo, and Pittsburgh Steelers killer Myles Garrett. Did you fix it? Is he the GM of the year? I have my doubts. I also saw your quarterback attempt 46 passes and only throw for about 230 yards. That's 5 yards per attempt. I see nothing special about this Pittsburgh Steelers team outside of one of the best players in the world, TJ Watt. And from what I can tell, he cannot do this by himself. And that is what is being asked of him. I cannot envision a scenario where the Pittsburgh Steelers look like the Pittsburgh Steelers of yesteryear. So live it up. I think there's a new documentary coming out about the 2008 Blitzburgh Steel Curtain. Y'all can live in the past. It's what you do best. Enjoy it, because this season is not going to be a whole lot of fun for your last place Pittsburgh Steelers.
Very nice. Hopefully Myles Garrett, that was just an incredible sack that he had at the end of the game here. Garrett's sack on Joe Burrow was just incredible. Eric, any last thoughts as we head into Monday night? This will be a night game, so a little bit different setup. Browns don't have too many primetime games, a lot of 1 p.m.ers. But last thoughts here as we head into Monday night.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of expected the defensive line to do what they did and put pressure on Joe Burrow, but I was really surprised with how the secondary came to play. I expected Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome to come out firing on all cylinders, but without Juan Thornhill, I was kind of a little worried about the safety position, and Grant Delpit came to play. He, a couple of tip passes, he was all over in coverage.
Grant Delpit had the game of his life, man. He was everywhere. If that's who this dude is, man, hey, I was wrong about him, right? Y'all were on to something 4 years ago. If that's who he is.
Second round draft pick. It's the last year of his rookie contract, so it's put up or shut up, and that was a put up game. So I hope Thornhill comes back with this game and we have added depth, but those guys can be in coverage and play well, then I really, really like our chances, because Deontay Johnson's status is up in the air. He left the game with a hamstring injury. So they got Allen Robinson, George Slim Pickens, and either Calvin Austin or Pat Freiermuth. And it appears that Jim Schwartz can actually coach a team to cover the tight end, which has been our Achilles heel for greater part of a decade or two. So the tight end position.
Freiermuth's banged up a little bit too. He's not at 100% either. He had to leave the game last week and couldn't return. So, he's not going to be 100% either. This has admittedly traditionally been a spot when the Browns always fall flat, when we're finally puffing our chest, when we finally think this is the team to be proud of. This is, in seasons past, the game that they suck you in and then they kick you right in the nuts, and that's it, right? Like that's been the Browns' relationship, right? They pull the football away and the fans fall flat on our ass again when we finally think it's different. But from what I can gather, I think the offense will be good. I don't think they'll be great. I think they'll be good enough. And I think this team finally has a defensive coach who knows what the hell he's doing for the first time since like Eric Mangini patrolled the sidelines 12 years ago, right? Like, I think this defense specifically is extremely well coached, and I cannot wait to see what they do against a very below average line and a quarterback with little tiny baby hands.
A lot of shout outs to Jim Schwartz after that first week. We've got the Bengals against the Ravens, Browns versus the Steelers. Will Browns go 2-0? The last place Steelers, will they be 0-2? We will see. A lot of pressure here in the AFC North to have a fast start. We'll see how the Browns do. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Last place, Pittsburgh Steelers.